right now. I will give a couple more minutes to let everybody go ahead and chime in and get ready, if that's all right. Well, we're getting very close to what I call the bewitching hour, and this meeting is to be called at 4 o'clock. I was trying to give other individuals time to chime in and whatnot. So what I'll do right now is I'm gonna give one more minute before I call this particular meeting in order, if that'll be okay, just so everybody can get in.
Jimmy, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm at the Baptist church. I just gave blood and I'm waiting for Ed to finish. So I don't have your phone, so I'll do the best I can.
Well, I understand, and that's why I'm giving everybody an extra minute or two, so they can log on and be a part of the process. So, thank you, Miss Carla.
Jimbo,
How you,
look like
Mr. Big A?
all right, look like calling the best place to lead us out with praying it. She at the church.
Yeah. I'm with you, big guy.
I'm at the blood drive and I came to the table to get my snack and just about passed out. They had to put me up and prop my feet up and put ice on me.
You better take it easy then.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, I hate to say it, but back in the early 70s, a lot of us military boys, when we ran out of money, we would go to the Gainesville hospital and give blood to get 20 bucks. And the next thing we'd do was go to the beer store. And I don't know if I should have said that, but that's back in the day.
They still do it.
just a little bit of levity. Just let us know. Anyway.
It still goes on.
You know. Well, I'll tell you what, let's do this. It's a little over 5 minutes after. I want to go ahead and call this work session to order. And for the invocation, I tell you what, Chief, you are the man of the hour. Would you please lead us in a little bit of word of prayer and hopefulness so that we can do the bidding for the city in a proper way. And that's all I ask. And just let's just go from there. How about that?
Yes, sir. Dear Father, once again, we come to you with bowed heads and humble hearts. Thank you for the blessings you have bestowed upon us. We ask you to forgive all of our trespasses and the trespasses of those who have committed against us. We thank you for health and strength. We thank you for allowing us to be in our right mind. And we ask that you humble our hearts and our tongues and remind us that we're here to do the people's business. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you very much, Chief. That was very appropriate. Definitely appreciate that. Now, as the way we usually conduct business, of course, one of the things we want to do are the minutes. Now, of course, since this is a work session, you should already have the minutes in your email or your box and read through them. We will not go through those, and we will not discuss those unless there's something that we need to bring up on a particular interest. Other than that, the next thing on the agenda is that we have people that want to address city council. And I have Miss Tisha Horton. Is Miss Horton hooked in? I'm asking, Ms. Wright, you're controlling this. Is Miss Tisha Horton in the Zoom conference?
I am.
Okay, well, good afternoon, Ms. Horton. Good afternoon.
Good.
You, ma'am, are the first one to address this work session as to your concerns, and it concerns the Festival Park request. And if you would, just tell us what you want to do and what is going on and any concerns. And let's do it in that kind of order. Anybody else that wants to chime in, at least give Ms. Horton the time to prepare and go through her statement before we chime in and give any type of whatever, what our opinions exactly. So Ms. Horton, you now have the floor.
Okay. I turned in 3 application requests for the festival park use for December 3rd, also December 19th and December 23rd and the 24th. And the city administrator, Mr. Maddox, had denied it. And I just want an explanation why it was denied when you have other numerous event at the festival park that had a gathering of at least 50 people, possible more, especially when the executive order says that you can have a gathering of 50 people more, as long as you have the social distance in place. And being that it is at the park, you do have the social distance there.
Okay, now for the edification of the people on this work session, would you please, Ms. Horton, explain to me or to the council the events that you want to have?
Mainly they are true truck food events where you have a food truck come set up, and we had it limited to only 5 food truck. The one that was on December 3rd was going to be scheduled during the lunch period, so it's more like 11 to 4. And then the one on December 19th was more of an evening time. And then the 23rd and the 24th was more on a later evening. But we was gonna have food truck where people can come purchase food, different things just to get out. But of course, with the CDC guidelines to make sure we encourage people to wear masks and have social distancing.
All right, thank you, Ms. Horton. I just, does anybody have any questions? When I hear of food trucks and other vendors coming in, I just want to make sure that, you know, they are under the proper guidelines, that they are following the protocol that what we need to do. Are these requests for the uh, the place, you know, what you want to do, what is the purpose of raising the money? Where will this money go? Is this for personal gain, city
No,
gain? I
no,
mean,
it's not.
you know, give us a little input as to why you are doing this and what you want to do with it. If that's
Um,
okay.
it's like I say, it's just food trucks. It's not other vendors, and it's for the Austin Theater. We are doing it as our nonprofit fundraising.
And so
And
where,
we don't make any money off of it. It's just that the vendors pay to set up. Of course, you know, you do the permit and they have to pay the health department the food inspection. So we do not make any money off 5 food vendors. We're not gonna make any money. It just actually to help promote to get people, you know, to come out, because we do want to do we also want to have more food truck vendors, hopefully when the CDC guidelines allow us next year sometime.
okay, well, I appreciate that, Ms. Horton, and I definitely understand. You know, just recently, and it was brought up and brought to my attention, you know, we had a wrestling match last Friday night. We had about 100 people, and I
Mhm.
turned in a check to the Grace House for $225 for more. We didn't get but about $165 in monies, but you know, bottom line is I gave the Grace House that extra little bit to help out, you know, what we're doing. So I wanted to just see that if we're going to use you know, our facilities, how it goes to benefit the people and everybody else. That's all. And I appreciate everything that you do. It's a tough nut to crack, and I appreciate everything you do. Just want to let you know that.
Councilman Bowens. Councilman Bowens.
Go ahead.
If Raphael there, can he give an explanation of his actions or why he did that or didn't do that or whatever?
I appreciate that, Mr. Allen. You know, he's not here right
Okay.
now. He's still dealing with the ramifications of his father's death. So I do not have an answer to that particular question. I wish he was here to answer that, which would be great.
I sat in on that. I sat in on the meeting.
Mayor Pro Tem.
He's
Go
here.
ahead.
Yeah, this is Raphael speaking.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the request was not denied. Just like we did with the smoking in the valley, we
You
brought it
did.
to the council for the council to approve. Because of the COVID numbers and because of the city having stuff in a city park, I brought all these requests since this all started. I brought all the requests to the city council for approval, and I did the same thing with her events. I told Ms. Horton that if the city council approves them, then we'll move forward with her process.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I forwarded you guys an email. He did say that he was going to deny it. And I did ask, may I speak with the mayor and council? Because you had numerous events in the past. Like I say, as long as the CDC guidelines and the Governor Kemp order, because he was saying that it was against the order, but it's not against the executive order. Because the order said that you have a gathering of 50 or more, long as you have a social distancing can occur. And like I say, it was numerous event that was done in the past within the last month that people had use of the festival park. If it's just for their own family gathering or for different events that was going on. You know, you had the smoke in the valley, you had the wrestling match, you had the prayer rally in the valley, and also it's different events that been going on around the city that has been allowed. So I did request that I be on the agenda to talk to the mayor and council.
Hi, this is Mayor Pro Tem. This is LaRonda Patrick.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
I don't know if you can see me, but I just wanted to comment to Ms. Horton and also ask a question. Ms. Horton, your event, is it going to have, you are going to have food vendors, am I correct?
Just only food vendors, the food truck. And I do
Okay.
understand doing the food truck with food vendors, you have to get the permit from the city, and the health department have to do the health inspection. That is the last executive order that Governor Kemp passed, called the sandwich bill, that was passed August the 5th.
Yes, ma'am, you're right. Now, your event, do all your vendors have, when is your event scheduled?
Well,
When did you have it scheduled?
I definitely can't do December the 3rd because I know the health inspection had to you have to give them 30 days notice. So I'm going for the December 19th and December 23rd and 24th.
Okay.
So-
Have those dates already been presented? Were those in your application and presented to council?
Yes, I gave the application. I did fill out the application, and I also did a $300 check for the deposit for each date. And Mr. Reddick have that.
Okay, but they've not been cashed. Not knowing all the details of your event, I know that council would vote on that to see if they would allow it, but I would just caution you that December is a heightened time for COVID. I know the council, though there have been events, we know that the risks are rising as the months get colder. So the council does take the time frame of the events into consideration and the activity that's occurring into consideration. Of course, there is a very heightened awareness and concern about food being given at events with a lot of people in the heightened months of COVID. And December is a heightened month. So I just want to ask that you consider that as a possibility as to why a council may not have approved this event. The time frame of when you're asking and the activity that's occurring, that is something that council has to consider, because if it becomes a COVID spreader, that looks very badly on the city as a whole, and they are the ones that have to make this discernment and make these decisions. We definitely don't want to hinder your organization at all. But my job is just to make sure I at least present the possibility that could be on the council's mind if they did not approve your events.
I understand, and
You
I
don't
was
have
just
any other events that I know of that are approved for December that involve food or food trucks.
okay. I understand, and all I ask is the mayor and council to hear me out. They most welcome to make their decision, and also be reminded that they need to kind of remember this decision as far as the reason why, especially when we coming up to the new year, because I know we are planning the new year event, which is also in December.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. Patrick. That was, I really appreciate your insight on that as well. Just to, here again, this is why we have what we call the work session, so we can war game and talk about all the possibilities. And I love the fact that you're chiming in and talking about the pertinent things that we need to look at. Love that. Ms. Horton, since Mr. Maddox is not here and listening to my,
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I'm here.
Go ahead.
I'm here, sir. So what we'll do is that we'll move this item, which is item 1. Item number 2 rather. We'll move that to the agenda so everyone can vote on Thursday.
You know what? That works with me. That'll work for me.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for chiming in. Thank you, Charles. Appreciate all your excellent commentary.
Councilman
I promise
Barnes?
you. whether you know it or not. Okay, now,
Mr.
as we
Barnes,
want to go, let's, anybody else want to chime in? Go ahead, Miss Gowan.
Jimmy, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I just want to let Ms. Horton know that if she didn't see it on the agenda, we are in the process of writing a new set of rules for our I can't think of it. Help me out here, Raphael. We're somewhere on the agenda where we're working on the
Food permit.
food. Yes, thank you. I'm sorry, y'all. I just gave blood and I passed out and I'm still not right in my mind yet. But I just want you to know that we're doing that. And it was on there before you applied. So we're not trying to cut you out. We just want to dot our i's and cross our t's.
Yes, ma'am. The food permit have nothing to do with the festival park schedule request. But
Okay.
I do understand the food permit through the health department in the city.
Well,
I'm
but it's
aware of
not.
that.
It's not through the health department anymore. And when we get to that part of it, you'll hear we've got the health department dropped it completely, and it's a major change. And so
Yes,
we're
ma'am.
working on that. So give us a little bit of patience.
Yes, ma'am.
That's all I had to say, Jim. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ms. Gowan, for that input. And I guess what we're gonna do next is we're going to, the first item that we want to discuss is the festival park schedule and fees for profit and nonprofit usage. And I understand that, the chief is involved in this, and Ms. Gowan, do you want to go ahead and take the lead on this?
You know, I really don't feel like I could talk. I'm sort of shaky. So if Chief, if
Yeah.
you'll take over.
Mayor Pro Tem, this is Raphael. We can let the finance director discuss that. Him and the city attorney can discuss that.
That'll be
Thank you.
fine. That'll be fine. Thank you, Charles.
Raphael. It's
Well,
Raphael,
Mr.
Jimmy.
Maddox, of
Yeah.
course, we know Mr. Maddox is not with us right now, but we'll
Jimmy,
get
he is.
Lorenzo if he's up to snuff, and Mr. Reddick, if you want to chime in, or the chief, either one. Here again, this is a work session. This is sharing of ideas. So go ahead.
Yes, so what we're, for this item being discussed, I know we had some issues, with the park, the cost or the fees associated with the park. So, the attorney, chief, and myself, we're working together to come up with a new application as well as a new fee schedule. We also want to address the, for-profit and nonprofit usage. If you're gonna be going as a nonprofit entity and you're gonna be collecting fees, you cannot be charged a nonprofit, non-fundraising fee schedule. The minute that you start collecting money, you're gonna have to be charged the rate of collecting funds, and that will be across the board. I want to also let everyone know that there will be new fees associated. And if chief and the attorney want to take that on, they will, because they've discussed in detail on that fee schedule for Festival Park.
Thank you, Mr. Reddick. Miss Attorney, do you want to chime in on this?
Yes, sir, I can. Excuse me. I'm
Go ahead.
chewing something.
Caught you with
I'm
the
ready.
mouthful.
That's okay.
Go ahead, don't choke
Okay,
yourself.
so. Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good. So Chief Spurgeon and I, and Mr. Maddox as well, we met to talk about the current contract for Festival Park. And we are in the process, I mean, we're about a month in now, creating a new facilities utilization contract for all of the parks and recreation facilities that include Festival Park, of course. Inside this, there will be a fee schedule associated with renting, well, with using the park, and also the power extensions. I'm saying the wrong word, but what I'm saying, so
Power
power
usage.
source, the power usage, yes.
There you go.
Power outlet, that's it.
There you
So
go.
there is a fee associated with that, that's going to be in there. There'll also be a requirement for the down payment, the payment of the power outlets as well. And there'll be some more things that's gonna be standardized across the board for the parks and recreation facilities. So this is gonna be a change that citizens will see, but all citizens will get the same type of a document and agreement. We understand it's gonna be, there's a change here, but I just hope that constituents understand that we are in the process of bettering our practices and our standardizing our forms. So we're not having multiple forms for different situations. We have one form to encompass all different possibilities to protect the city, the constituents, and all of the guests of whatever event it may be. We've not finalized the costs, at least we've not come together to actually finalize the fee schedules to present to council as of today.
Thank you very much, Ms. Patrick. Chief, do you want to add anything, sir?
Yeah, just to give it some historical context, when we first began, our mission was to make the park popular, and now it is popular. So that just kind of goes that we, because it's became so desirable to get it, we need to revisit this issue. The usage agreement Ms. Patrick has presented to me closes all of the loopholes and uses the proper legalese. So I'll be working with her to get it presented, and hopefully we'll have it ready for vote by next session.
Thank you, Chief. And, I got to say one thing, that when we first, the envisionment of the festival park and the whole process, isn't it neat now that we're in a process of the fees and how to do it, because it's catching on, and it just goes to show you that, it makes you look good. It makes you feel good that you've worked so long and hard to build something, and now we're bringing it up to such a good standard. And I appreciate the good work, Chief, and you, Ms. Patrick, as the attorney, and everybody that's involved. I got to give a kudos on that, we don't get enough kudos sometimes, but thank you. That is a situation that, in my opinion, it's a good one to work at, and not a bad one. So I gotta grin on that. And thanks everybody. Anybody else have anything to want to chime in?
Yeah, I
Or-
have more, Mayor
Go
Pro
ahead.
Tem,
Go
if I
ahead.
may.
Go ahead.
Just before we change subjects, the reason why there's not a finalized draft to present to council right now, the draft that I submitted is a little bit lengthy, and we thought it might be a good idea to condense that down to a couple of pages. I think now, I don't even know, I mean, maybe 6 or 8 pages. I can't remember, Chief, if you remember, correct me, but it's kind of long. So we're wanting to break that down, capture everything we needed to do in standardized format, and it's just taking a little more time to kind of capture everything we needed to capture and limit the language at the same time.
Thank you, Ms. Patrick. That's awesome. Hey, like I said, work session. This is where we talk it out and get the things done. Awesome.
Mr. Pro
All right.
Tem,
Go ahead.
I have a question for the attorney Patrick and Chief Spurgeon. For that new contract, will you still honor the old contract, being that you have the festival park reserved for next year? Or those prices gonna be reflect on that too?
If there is a application that's already been submitted and already been approved,
Yes.
already been deposits paid, then we will honor the pricing on there for the usage of the park. Now, the outlet fee, for example, if you're needing outlets to be used, to be turned on, those fees will still apply according to the rate on the date of usage. So those fees will still apply. If it's a date if you put in a price this month, for example, you're not using it until next December. If that rate changes according to the utility bill, then that's the rate that will be used at that time.
Thank you.
Very good. Anybody else that wants to chime in? This is the time. All right. Next on the
I want
go
to
ahead.
chime in.
Chime in.
Hey, this Kirk Davis, man. Dominique Town.
This is Rhonda Patrick, Mr. Davis. Is this concerning the festival park? Are you with Ms. Horton, addressing the council with Ms. Horton? Or are you handling a separate matter? Ms. Horton, is this one of your guests that's addressing council with you, Ms. Horton?
I couldn't hear you. You was breaking up.
I said, is the person that was just speaking, is that a guest that's addressing council with you?
No, it's just me on here as addressing the council.
I'm not sure who that was, but maybe they got on an accident. Continue, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Madam Attorney. To appreciate that. I like I said, when I made the comment, it was only speaking towards what we were talking about in the previous manner. So if you have something else to bring up,
What I'm
thank you
saying
very
is,
much. I appreciate that.
y'all favoritism.
Somebody, whoever's speaking, out of turn, if they would mute their mic. If you would like to address council, then there is a format for doing that. You can put in a request to address council to be added on our agenda for Thursday's meeting. But if you have not submitted the application, as Ms. Horton has, then you must submit your request to speak before council. So I'm not sure who's speaking, but if you would put in the chat your email address, and we can send you that request to speak before council, or you can come by City Hall and pick up that document and have it submitted to be added to our agenda for Thursday. All right, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that. And what we're gonna do now is we're gonna go into the second item, and it's the approval of events at Festival Park for the month of December. And this brings us into the same conversation that we've been having along with Ms. Horton. I think Ms. Horton is the one that has 3 events that she wants to do in December. So I think if there's any more discussion about these events, I think we've kind of covered the same ground. If you want to bring up anything else, please do at this time. Otherwise, I'm going to go to the going down the agenda. And
Mayor Pro Tem.
the next one is the
Mayor Pro Tem.
resumes
Mayor Pro Tem.
for
Can
city
you hear me?
council at large.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you hear me? This is LaRonda. I did have a question for Ms. Horton regarding her events. Since
Okay.
y'all will be voting on this on Thursday. There is something that I needed to clarify with her, if you allow me to do so.
Shoot, go ahead. Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Horton, for your event, I know it's having the food trucks. Are the vendors in the food trucks, are they established restaurants that have a food truck with them? So are they, do they have their food and beverage permits as a restaurant? Do you know?
I have one that is a restaurant, and they do have their mobile food truck, but the other ones are just traditional food trucks vendors. Similar to what you see in Perry when they have the food truck events, but we just have one that is a restaurant.
And do you know how many food trucks you anticipate having for your three?
Just 5.
Okay, so it's a smaller gathering.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Will there be benches or tables set up for people to sit down and eat their food? Or will
No.
people walk around and eat is there any setup like that where people will gather together
No.
tight to eat?
No tables or anything will be placed out.
Will there be a sanitizing station or anything?
Yes, we will follow the CDC guidelines as far as the hand sanitation and the social distancing.
And what about the, like, will there be porta potties or anything like that?
Being
using the
that we're doing the RV area, we are utilizing the restaurant. I mean the restroom. So I know that in order in the executive order, when they talk about different festivals and things, the way we can mitigate for COVID-19 is have someone out there at the restroom to make sure that it's not more than 3 people inside the building, according to its capacity of the restroom.
All right, that's all I could think of right now. Thank you, Ms. Horton, and thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, for allowing me to ask those points of clarification to Ms. Horton.
Oh, no, ma'am. Thank you, because that's what this is, a work session. And
Mr.
we
Jimmy.
bring this out. Thank
Mr.
you.
Jimmy.
And that's why you get the big
Jimmy?
bucks. Go
Mr.
ahead.
Jimmy, on that agenda item, for approval of events at Festival Park, I know we wanted to revisit and actually discuss on what type of events that we were gonna allow at Festival Park, based on the increasing numbers. So that was something we wanted to address council to make sure that we kind of set guidelines on what events we're gonna allow for December to actually mitigate large gatherings and mitigate certain events from happening at Festival Park until the numbers decrease.
Also, Mr. Pro Tem, that should be something to consider, not only just at Festival Park, even downtown at the gazebo also.
Yes, ma'am.
And
Yes,
also,
ma'am.
like I say, we are planning the New Year Eve event for the peach drop. So all that have to be considered. Thank you.
And you know what? I can't help but say I appreciate all these comments, because we definitely want to do the right thing, and prior planning prevents what kind of performance. So I appreciate everybody bringing
Mayor
that
Pro Tem.
in, and that's awesome. That's what we
Mayor
do.
Pro Tem,
Thank you. Anybody
can
else?
y'all hear me?
Go
Mayor
ahead.
Pro
Mayor.
Tem, can y'all hear me?
Go ahead. Yes,
Hello?
ma'am. Go ahead, Mayor.
Okay, well, good evening, sir, and everybody
Evening.
else that's on the Zoom. I just need to throw this out before Thursday, because this probably would be the only opportunity that I get to do it. I'm in Michigan, and I have called 2 times since I looked at the agenda to find out if our governor has gone on to do a news conference with the shutdown. The governor of Michigan has shut everything back down, just like they did when the pandemic first got started. Everything that dealt with restaurants, everything that dealt with those gatherings and different things like that, it's been shut down. And I expect our governor is going to do the same thing. So we need to be listening between now and Thursday, because when you put that thought on your mind, your vote may change before Thursday, because we've got to observe guidelines too. Our numbers increased by 13 the last couple of days. I've been watching it. And they're increasing all over the country. The numbers are rising all over the country, and there are several states that's going back into shutdown. Our governor has not said so yet, but I expect for him to say it at any time. I just needed to say that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor. And you know what? Like again, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to chair this meeting since you're not here. But
Yes.
that's what this is. And I love
Yes.
that's what work session is all about. This is the discovery and talk about time. And I appreciate that more than you know, because things in these strange times, we don't know what to do sometimes. I mean, it's frustrating. It really is.
Yes.
And so thanks for everybody's input as far as that goes. I mean, just my goodness.
Mayor Pro Tem,
Shoot, go ahead, man.
Mr. Barnes,
Yes, sir.
I have a question for Mr. Lomenzo. Can you hear me, Lomenzo?
Yes, sir, I can.
Have you composed a list of the activities that'll be acceptable to the festival park that you can give us?
As of now, we haven't decided. In the past, until October, we were only allowing events such as the food drives and giveaways. So if that is something that we want to revisit for December, that was what we was doing previously before the numbers started increasing again.
Okay. And I got a statement from Ms. Tisa. You still there?
Yes, sir.
For us that peace drop I've got with Miss Aegis, and I don't think we're going to be having it this year. I
No.
told her I didn't think it'd be a safe thing to do. Is she going to have it, Miss Wright? Yeah, it's been
No.
counted.
No.
Yeah, it's been
It's been
counted.
canceled, so is the Peace Drop in Atlanta. All
Okay,
the New Year's events have been canceled around here.
Okay,
They're not. Mhm.
Thank you.
that's it.
I appreciate that, Mr. Allen. Did you want to say something, Miss Patrick?
Yes, I do. Just one other thing.
Go ahead.
Mayor Pro Tem, Ms. Horton, I also want to advise you that when your events are up for consideration, they may be considered separately. I'm not sure if they're all in the same application or not, but they may be considered separately for each individual event, okay? So we're going to weigh it. We understand it's for a good cause. We have to be very cautious in what we're doing, but we're not going to group you all together. There's a way that if something happens and there's a way that we have to only allow some to go through and not others, just realize that we will be reviewing each of them separately.
I love it. I love it.
I
Thank you.
understand.
Thank you
Thank you.
again for the clarification of what we need to be doing. Here again, I'm not gonna say it, but one more time. That's why we have work session. Awesome. Thank you for all the input. Anybody else?
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem,
Yes, sir.
I'm not on the agenda, and I apologize for that. But if you let me, I got one statement to make.
Well, but before you make the statement, Mr. Crafter, well, is this going to pertain to the festival park? Because we're talking about schedule and fees and events. And if
Right.
this pertains to that, then I'll be more than glad to let you speak. If
Yes,
not,
sir.
I'll be more than willing to let you speak at the end of the work session of something you want to talk about, which I have no problem with. But
I understand that.
let's keep it, what I want to do is I want to try to keep the agenda flowing, and let's keep it in a order, a systemic order, if you don't mind. Please, sir.
No problem.
Okay.
One thing you need to consider, Ms. Horton works with the Peace Festival, Main Street, the Downtown Development Authority. And and those are all city agencies. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and their job basically is to promote whatever's going on in Fort Valley. And my concern is those city-run agencies are actually basically instrumentality. Should have some sort of waiver of fees so that the things that Ms. Horton and the Peace Festival or the DDA or Main Street or even the Austin Theater, those are promotional items that's designed to highlight what's going on in Fort Valley and to publicize in a marketing way what's going on positive in Fort Valley. So as that relates to that, I think you need to consider possibly a waiver of the fees for all those venues for city-run activity. And that's all I was gonna have. That's all I'm gonna have.
Thank you, Mr. Crafter. Hey, that's, you know what? like I said, work session, we're bouncing around ideas. And I'm not gonna say yours is good or bad, and you're not gonna tell me if mine's good or bad. That's why we have work session, and that's why we're war gaming all this. Thank you very much for your comments.
Mr.
Appreciate
Pro
that.
Tem, Mayor Pro Tem, and
Yes,
to the
ma'am.
council, Mayor Pro
Go ahead.
Tem and to the council, I agree with you about the work session initiative. I agree with you about everything, but I think we should be consistent with what we consider as things that are done by the chamber, that's done by the development authority, that's done by the Peach Festival, that's done by all these other agencies that are city, should be city run and city monitored agencies. We said this before, whenever things like that is happening and there are fees being collected, if they are on behalf of the city, the fees need to be monitored by the city because they are the ones that's liable and responsible for it. If they are not going to be monitored by the city, then an accounting, a bookkeeping accounting of it should come to the city. There's no cash money that exchange hands without it being a record or receipt or anything of that nature. That's what the city does at City Hall in order to make sure that we are accountable for monies that's coming in and out of the city. So if we're going to take credit and take the liability for those kinds of things that you are talking about, then that's the way it should be run. That's all I needed to say. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mayor. I mean, come on, you're the mayor.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm the mayor that's not there, but I'm waiting on my flight that's later on. But I didn't want to miss this meeting. Thank you so much.
And I got to tell you, it's definitely an honor, Mayor, to sit here and try to go through this meeting and get, air
Thank
out
you.
the stuff that we want to talk about. And
Thank you. You're doing a great job.
And just because you're not here doesn't mean you ain't here.
You're doing a great girl. You're doing a great job. Keep it up.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, Mayor Pro Tem.
I saw you kind of grinning on that. Do you want to say something?
Mayor Pro Tem, this is Raphael. If we can move to item 3, 4, and 5, they're kind of dealing with personnel issues that we will vote on Thursday.
Yes, sir. That is the next part of the agenda.
Yeah,
And
item 3.
that was the next thing I wanted to do. Now that we're through with the festival park, wargaming, fees, schedules, etc. And the next one is the resume for the city at large, city council at large. And we
Yes.
have Henry Howard, Tisha Horton, Fred Van Hartsfield, and Miss LaRonda Eason as 4 candidates that we need to look at. And I hope you have read their resumes and have looked to what each individual thinks will be the best pick for the city of Fort Valley and how they can help be a part of the solution and not part of the problem. So that's the next thing. Does anybody, I mean, since this is a work session, I don't think we need to discuss resumes. I think each one of you has the resume for each individual participant. Anybody else want to bring anything else up? I mean, here again, we're not going to argue back and forth who's this, and this. We have the resumes, we have everything in front of us, and I think we're going to make a decision on Thursday. So, all I can say is those are the 4 individuals that are being considered.
Councilman Barnes.
Go ahead.
Councilman Barnes. Yes,
ma'am.
I think that should be done in executive session because, because that's where it needs to be since we're talking about people for 2, 3, for 3, 4, and 5.
All right, Ms. Gowan, the bottom line is what I'm doing is just going down the particular, because even if we go into executive session, we're not going to
vote,
micromanage or look at each individual's resume
All right.
in this particular instance, the way I look at it, we do have, and
I
we go
think
to
on
three,
that first
let's
item,
go to 3, 4,
Mr.
and 5. You know, we
Mr.
got a resume for the downtown development vacancy and a planning and zoning resignation letter. So do we want to handle all 3 of those in executive session? You tell me. How do you want to, go forward with this?
Mayor
Mayor
Pro
Pro
Tem,
Tem?
Mayor Pro Tem, this Raphael, we can discuss those in the executive session, but we have to vote Thursday in the public meeting.
Yeah.
on all
Right.
Yes,
12.
sir. Exactly. Exactly right.
I do have a question, though. We have one person for the Downtown Development Authority. Do we specifically know how many empty positions we have? Because I know that 2 people said they stay on if needed.
Well, I appreciate that, Ms. Horton. Excuse me, Ms. Gowan. And I'm looking, is that Tisha has put a resume for the downtown development vacancy as well as one for city council at large.
Yeah.
I gotta say, either one or the other, in my opinion, just as we talk in a wargaming session right here. Don't you agree? Or
Yeah.
anybody want to chime in on that?
And I probably know just a little bit more about the DDA's vacancies than others do. Each position is unique. There's a business person, and I can't think of them all, but before we vote on it, and definitely before Thursday night, we need to know who definitely wants to get out and what position they hold as a business owner or a property owner. There's 5 of them.
The 2 that vacancy are business owner. You have an in city and a county.
Okay. Thank you. And I assume yours would be the in city?
Correct.
Hi, Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay, well, go ahead. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead, Ms. Patrick.
I just had a question of clarification regarding the 2 of the items that are coming up for the city council vacancy and the DDA vacancy. Have the resumes for these individuals been given to the council members prior to today? Or if not, will council have adequate time that may extend beyond Thursday to review the resumes and talk about each candidate to make sure they're all on the same page for an official vote? Or will we be I'm losing my words. Will we be making it mandatory for them to hurry up and review the documents and vote on Thursday?
Mayor Pro
Thank
Tem,
you.
Mayor Pro Tem, I can answer that question.
Go ahead.
City Attorney, the resumes was all sent out in the agenda packet this week. On Thursday, when it comes up for vote, if the city feels that we need more time, we can take a motion to table or we can take a motion to appoint.
Great answer.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Charles, for chiming in. Appreciate that.
Raphael, you keep calling him Charles.
Well,
Think you getting them mixed up with Charles Jones.
look here. My hearing's bad. I appreciate that. No, love that. Okay. All right, so let's do this. Let's go ahead. We've talked about that. Let's jump down to number 6. We're going to talk about surplus vehicles from the Public Safety Department. We got a Ford 450 and a Crown Vic. We shouldn't have to go over a whole lot about this. The chief wants to make a statement about this. These are 2 vehicles that, we're going to get rid of and get the money. So they have made these decisions. Anybody else wants to talk for or against? Go ahead. This is your time. All right, so let's move that on to, put that on Thursday night's agenda to go ahead and take care of these particular vehicles and get them sold, do whatever we got to. Number 7. Let's talk about the Fort Valley Housing Rehabilitation Program. Number 7. Now, it is, and I have seen, and Mr. Crafter has already chimed in. Mr. Crafter, because this is a public work session, I want to specifically ask you, and this is the rehabilitation program, since I just learned about it, and I don't know if the rest of the council or anybody else knows about it. They probably do. I'm usually the last one to learn. But would you like to please talk about Fort Valley Housing Rehabilitation Program? And Mr. Crafter, I know you're on, so I'm gonna give you the floor, sir. Are you there?
Yeah. I didn't come to work, but
Well, I'm giving you an opportunity, sir. Come on,
a couple
listen.
years ago,
We've talked. Let's,
a
work.
couple of years ago, we discussed a housing program that was designed to meet the needs of our citizens who did not qualify for grants, under the assumption that everybody that needs help don't live in blighted areas. And nothing was done to help those people who whose income was just above the threshold for qualifying for a grant or whatever the reason was. So we come together with this proposal. I presented it to the council, and over the next several weeks and months, the council added and took and subtracted from that proposal. I know that there was the point about real property that was taken out. There was the problem about the time limit that was increased. Bottom line, when we got through with it, the council voted to approve that program. The only problem was we did not have the money, and at the time we were involved in the litigation, and Mr. Coleman recommended, said, well, since we're in litigation, we might ought to ruffle the feathers by asking them for nothing. And it's been dormant since then. Well, guess what? Now we got the funds to fund that, and it's nothing new. All of the particulars are in the legislation that we passed 2 years ago, which basically deals with senior citizens, people that with emergencies, who got water running in their houses from roof leaks and all this kind of stuff. Health and safety, adequate bathrooms, hot water heaters, this kind of stuff. All this is in the proposal that we put together, and that is on file right now at City Hall. There's nothing new. This ain't nothing new. You understand? And there's nothing else I can say other than what we passed as it relates to what this program is. And I think the program in itself, the language of it that we passed in that meeting is self-explanatory. You go back and get a copy of the housing project that we passed, I think it was about 2 years ago. It will tell you all you need to know about what it's for. The only thing this is on the 17th of September, some changes were made, and with those changes, the spirit that existed between the city council and the utility commission at that time ended. There will be no more fights between the city council and the utility commission. The concept is we use the same tools to fight as we use to work. And if we work for the next 5 years, as hard as we have fought for the last 5, 6 years from now, you won't know Fort Valley. So what we did, I found the resources to fund this project. The money is there, and if when the council, we're gonna send by law. The law says that the commission has agreed, and the majority of the council has agreed. This is a public welfare problem. I mean, project. We have already agreed, and we got the money waiting on you. All you need to do is set up an accounting for the money. In other words, the money will be sent to City Hall, and then Mr. Maddox, we suggested, and I think the mayor sort of concurred. We suggested that we run this through the CHIP program because it's already established, and all of the things that would have caused problems with you having to hire somebody, any kind of expense, no expenses will be incurred by the city. So, Mr. Raphael and Dr. Jones will get together, set up an accounting system so that the invoices will be paid out of City Hall. Then Ms. Jones can pay her folk, and the project can be gone. You know what I'm saying? And the city has the right. Anytime Mr. Reddick wants to check the books, he will have open access to the books to make sure that all of the money that is spent was spent for the reason or the purpose for which it was intended. And that's basically it. And I try to do it so that the people who need help, we can go and start getting those folk help right now without having to create any red tape or no hoops to jump through. If you're senior citizen and you own your property and you are a utility user, you qualify. That's the only qualification you need. And the CHIP office, because they are already experienced in that and have already certified, I think 2 contractors. I think they're still waiting on some paperwork from Atlanta on the CHIP. But if y'all approve this, and we get that money over there next week, y'all the CHIP office can start working. And when what's happening in Atlanta split up, then the CHIP grant will kick in, and we working double time. You know what I'm saying? The main thing is something that's going on to help the people. And I'm through.
Mr. Pro Tem.
Go ahead, please.
Comment.
I have a major response to that, but please go ahead.
Okay, let me add, and I thank Mr. Crafter for bringing that to the commission's attention. And they did vote on what needs to happen, and the money has been allocated. When you deal with the CHIP program, however, you might not. I mean, you need to allow Lomenzo and the city administrator find out exactly how we set up those accounts in order to do that, because with the CHIP program, it goes through the Department of Community Affairs. It's got to be approved, and before anything come down and all that kind of stuff, we don't have to jump through those hoops. That's what he said. So what we want to organize it similar to that CHIP program, but let it operate more or less like the Rebuilding Fort Valley program did. But it's not an outside agency that's monitoring it. It would be the city council that monitor it. And so those kind of things have to be worked out. But I agree, if the money is there, then it needs to go to help the people for the welfare part of it. I agree.
Okay, thank you very much, Mayor. Just to let everybody know, I had a very lengthy discussion with Dr. Jones today. And I raised a lot of different scenarios. You're right. This is not a government program. This is taxpayers' money that we're dealing with. And number one, I spent a long time, and I sat with Mr. Reddick this afternoon for over an hour discussing scenarios, being in charge of finance. So before we open this Baylor Wicks, first of all, nobody's even talked about money. Bottom line is we got $1 million. Okay, so that hadn't even brought up. So we got $1 million that we got to figure out how we're going to dispense to the proper citizens in the proper way. And I came up with a lot of different scenarios. Number one, it's not government issued, so we do not have to deal with that. I am in favor. Well, let's don't do this, okay? Because I'm injecting my own personal deal. This is a work session. I think council needs to know, and we need to get together on how we want to do this as a group. So I'm not going to put my 2 cents in. I will share everything I talked with Dr. Jones in the group session with council to see where this needs to go. You
Mayor
know what
Pro
I'm saying?
Tem,
So,
let me make
yes, ma'am.
one little bit of clarification. There's a difference between taxpayers' money and ratepayers' money.
Well, okay.
Even though we have accounting separately, what we're talking about, they are the same people, but the monies are spent different ways. And so we don't want to say that we are dealing with taxpayers' money. We are dealing with ratepayers' money because the Utilities Commission also serves some people outside the city of Fort Valley too. And I'm having a hard time with my headset
Well, no.
here. But I just wanted to clarify that, not taxpayers' money, but ratepayers' money.
Oh,
And
no,
of course,
thank you,
okay,
Mayor.
okay.
You're totally correct. And I did misspeak in that, you're right. It is ratepayers' money. So thank you for that clarification. I mean, that's why, that's why you're mayor right now, right?
Well, I don't know.
Okay. Just thank you. And
Okay.
here again, I love being in part of a work session where we could chime in and go through stuff. That's awesome. So thank you again, Mayor. And as much as you're going through, I mean, God bless you. That's all I can.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
I have a question. Being that we're gonna actually distribute these monies to different individuals, and we're gonna have contractors, Dr. Jones would be considered a contractor and then the people that will actually come in and actually do the work. So my question is to council or to Mr. Marvin, will all these positions be bidded out? Because for certain amounts of money, we will still have to do a bid and bid out all of these contracted services. As well as I want to know
Can I chime in on that? Can I chime in on that?
Yes, ma'am.
Anything above a certain amount of funds that a city has to spend is supposed to be bidded. Anything above a certain amount of funds. However, that bid process is different than it would be if it was state controlled or federal controlled. That bid process is different. Once we get our 3 bids or 2 bids or whatever it is, it's the council's decision to choose the contract, or it can be Miss Jones's decision, because we have 3 people that's on that task force that works with that, and that's Miss Jones and Mr. Allen and our public works director, Chewy. So we have a staff member and a council member and a contractor, a grant writer that does different things for us. And she's used to that. She's already got a list. She's already got a waiting list of people who didn't qualify for tips this time. She can choose from some of that waiting list and add more on or whatever she wants to do. But as far as the contractors are concerned, there's a certain amount of money we can spend without having to put out bids. But then there's a certain amount that we have to do, and we have to give everybody an opportunity. But this is not state control nor federal control. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, and I appreciate that. But when it comes to contractors, I've had a lot of scenarios with contractors, and there are a lot of unscrupulous contractors out there. And I'm not going to name names right now, but we need to be very careful about the contractors that we want to talk about and to use. And this is not a favorite son scenario. Who's your best buddy that's got a
Right.
contractor over here that's going to do this?
Right.
Easy
Right.
money. This dog and pony show will not hunt. I promise you.
Mr. Barnes, can I respond?
Go ahead.
This is one of the reasons why a lot of municipalities and really the reason the utility commission too put something in the hand of engineers and different folk like that, let them decide, so it won't seem like you're going through that kind of, I want my buddy to get anything, but we don't have to do that. Dr. Jones have gone through all of the criteria that the state puts up that way. And she has qualified with all of that. That's why it takes so long. Because there's a certain thing that we have to do, or we won't get the drawdown approved. Well, the same thing can happen when you're choosing your contractors. We didn't say subcontractors, we said contractors. Now the contractors can second whatever you call it to get people to work with them. But this puts people to work, I think. I don't think we should get somebody who subcontracts out and then give the money to a contractor, because that makes more money. That costs you more money. But a contractor who can put his own bid out there, and the bids are like apples, and not like apples and oranges, it's apples to apples. I don't think, Miss Patrick, there's anything legally that anybody can say about that. And I may be wrong. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. I'm gonna shut my mouth.
I have a question. If we were to, I guess my question would be, because I know we said that in conjunction with CHIP. So will all this money be kind of pooled together, or do we want to keep? Also, I wanted to know, I guess another question. How would we deem who would be the signers for signing or approving those expenses or signing the check? Will we try to get somebody from the council and somebody from the commission board to do it, or
No, Mr. Lomenzo, can I make that comment? And Mr. Crafter, you chime in if you tell me. The commission is providing the funding. The city is the one that's going to monitor everything, and the same signatures that you have for the city signatories should be the signatories for cutting the check for the housing situation.
Right.
The Utilities Commission is going to send the money to our account, Lomenzo, but it does not need to go into the CHIP account. It needs to be accounted for separately. That's all I'm saying now. Yeah. Right. Okay. All right, sir.
Bottom line is this, Mr. Lomenzo. The reason I suggested the CHIP office because Miss Dr. Jones has an air of credibility. She is running the CHIP program. You know what I'm saying? Running it through that program because of that, and because Mr. Allen and Chewy are on the board over there, then you got council oversight, but it's not run it's a city project. It's not run in a way that the city has any liability, other than to make sure there's no abuse of the funds or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
And that can be taken care of by setting up a housing rehab account at the bank, and set up the procedure with her to set up a housing rehab account that's separate from CHIP in her operation. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And all of her expenses, from salaries for employees to contractor pay, will be invoiced to Mr. Maddox. Mr. Maddox will write one check for the amount of money that's requested from Dr. Johnson, Dr. Johnson will write a check on her account, the contractors whomever they are, and what I suggested is when you write a check, you make a copy of that check and put it back where you wrote it from, and that will serve as your accounting too. Okay? So when you go to check to see a spot check, whatever you're gonna do, to make sure
So,
that
so you're saying that Dr. Jones, we won't actually we won't actually oversee any of those expenses. Dr. Jones will tell us how much money that we need to write to her, and she will actually write those funds to everyone else.
Right.
No, no, Mr.
Absolutely not.
Lomenzo,
Yes, ma'am.
what they do is like we ask our department heads to do. You submit the drawdown request, or you submit the the invoice, and the drawdown request. If Barbara Williams is a contractor, then Barbara Williams will get the check written out to her, but it has to be authorized, number one, by Dr. Jones first. It has to be checked off on or signed off on, and Dr. Jones will have gotten with Chewy and Mr. Allen. And so Mr. Allen represents the council, Chewy represents the staff who knows about this kind of thing, and so does Dr. Jones. And they all still will go through the city administrator. And the city administrator would submit everything to the finance department, and then the checks will be made out to who did the work.
Okay.
Not to Dr. Jones.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, and I have another question. Okay, I know that if Dr. Jones works on this, she'll also be considered as a contracted.
Yeah, some administrative fee. Yeah, she would submit some. She would submit her administrative fee. Mr. Lomenzo, she would submit her administrative fee. Now, since this is not a state grant or a federal grant, the administrative fee will be decided on the council. Whatever percent of the drawdown comes will be hers for the administrative fee for her work. Now, the reason why I say it would be different from the state or from the federal is because she was the one who wrote the grant with those.
Mr.
And
Lomenzo,
her
I'll get with you
administrative
on
fee would
tomorrow
be
morning.
greater. But she's not writing the grant for this one. The grant is being given to us directly from the utility commission. So as a result of the administrative fee, whatever her administrative fee goes for just supervising that work. That's all, not the writing of a grant. Okay, am I making sense?
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Jimmy, I have a question.
Listen to what I'm saying.
Go ahead, Ms. Gowan. Ms. Gowan, you have the floor.
Thank you. I missed something at the very beginning. Do the repairs, does the homeowner have to live in the home? We're not doing stuff for people who rent their homes out, are we?
No,
can't do that.
No.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem.
And I wanted to bring up this, like I
Okay, I
said,
lost you. I don't know whether y'all can still hear me.
I had a very long talk with
I
Dr.
lost you.
Jones today. And bottom
Hello?
line is, Dr. Jones does not need to be in this process.
Is it my headset?
I'm gonna be honest with you. Marvin Crafter brought up the tune of $200,000 at his little, what I call a hit and run little Zoom meeting when I finally found out about the $1 million. So y'all were really wanting to pay her $200,000 out of $1 million. And I'm gonna tell you something.
Who brought that up?
To her for an hour
Who brought that up?
and a half today. And I'm telling you, this dog and pony show, if we get this money, the city council will decide. I talked to Mr. Reddick in length today, almost an hour and a half, and got caught up here at City Hall, where I am now, talking to him about what we want to do with this money and how it should be done. We're not paying any favorite son or daughter or precious poo-poo baby or whatever and give them this money. I promise you, I came up with
Miss-
14
I
hours
understand.
worth of
Mr. Mayor Pro
logistics.
Tem, Mr. Mayor
Mayor.
Pro Tem.
Logistics
Ms. Mayor,
to come up with this.
Ms. Mayor, Ms. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
If I could, Mayor. Now, I'm not gonna, understanding is the key to the success of this process. Now, in any grant, in any monies, any grant that's awarded, 20% of that grant goes for administration. That's standard federal, local, policy across the board.
They will bid it out.
Hey, 20%.
You got me? We'll bid it out instead of a favorite son,
Miss-
Marvin.
Miss-
I don't like going into a stacked meeting.
Mr. Pro Tem, Mayor Pro Tem, and to Marvin, to both of you. As we said, we would set the percentage, the council would set the percentage of what the administrative fee can be for the drawdowns to the contractors. Now, Marvin came up with that 20%, and I don't know what that 20% is and all that kind of stuff, but
if you let me explain it,
I can understand that, but let me finish up so we can stop all of the controversy on that. Because if your commission hears that we are arguing about accepting the money, then they ain't gonna want to give it to us. And so what we need to do is accept the money. We have a meeting to decide what percentage of the administration fee will go to the person that administrates this particular project. And then the drawdown, when the drawdown comes, whatever percent that person is supposed to get, hers would be submitted with that drawdown for that same contract. It's not like you're gonna give somebody $200,000 up front for administering a project. It'll happen each time, because if you don't use a contractor, if you don't finish up utilizing the money doesn't go out the door. So let's keep this professional and do what needs to be done. And I would not want anything to go back to the commission that we are arguing over them giving us some money. We don't want to do that.
Let me say this.
Don't you think we need to say this for an executive session?
No.
It should have been. It probably should have been an executive session to start with, but when we get ready to decide what the percent is going to be.
Let me say this, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Let me say this. The first error is Mr. Jones is not going to get $200,000.
I don't know where that came from.
No.
Yeah.
Let me finish.
From the meeting.
What I said, 20%, is that 20% of the grant goes for administration. What should be required is that a budget for administration be put together, which will have Mr. Jones' salary, the people that work for her salary, the rent, light bill, all of the expenses associated with delivering these services should be put in a budget, and whatever amount of that budget is, it can be anything less than $200,000. I said 20% because that's normally what grants allow for administration. What the mayor said is exactly in what I'm talking about. Let her put together the budget for this program, because as it stands right now, she put together a budget for the tip thing, and they've been working for 3 years. They got near a penny. You know what I'm saying? And ain't nobody ready to say about that. Bottom line is this: let the lady put together a budget, and based on the budget she put, Mr. Allen is proficient in housing, and as a member of that staff over there, Mr. Allen is not going to let a contractor, whoever he is, go in there and mess up nobody's house. You understand?
Yeah.
So you got council control, but it's not micromanaging. So man, let her put together a budget.
Okay.
And whatever you spend, whatever you submit to her, if she can, if her salary is $1,500 for the month, you saying?
Okay.
Employee salary shows $50,000. Saying? That's what comes to Raphael as the invoice. Plus, when you start doing the work, two things I propose. Number one, that if Alan is gonna be there, the work is gonna be there. I got all confidence in Lorenzo, in Alonzo Allen as the electrician of the contract. Okay? He's gonna make sure that is taken care of. As it relates to everything else, I'm talking to
Mr.
a young
Crafter.
white lady.
Mayor Pro
Ms.
Ms.
Tem.
Crafter. Ms. Crafter.
Let me this
Ms.
last
Crafter
statement.
and two.
She said that last time she got involved in that, somebody messed her house up. So the key component of this thing is a statement from the
All right.
homeowner.
Thank you, Mr.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr.
Mr.
Crafter. Let me do
Mr. Mayor
this.
Pro Tem. Mr. Mayor Pro
Let me
Tem.
do this.
Can I-
Ms. Patrick, would you chime in, please?
Hi, thank you. Really quick, this just for clarification point. Well, yes, I agree. The way the discussion has turned should go into executive session. Two, I'm hearing a Dr. Jones. I'm assuming this person is a general contractor or a GC insurance,
No.
field and development and redevelopment. But anyway, I just think we should have the discussion in executive session further on this before we do a vote on Thursday. That's it. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. As
I
a matter
agree.
of
And
fact,
also keep in mind, Mr. Pro Tem,
go
keep
ahead.
in mind
Go ahead.
that before we even take a vote, we are going to need to set the percentage of the administrators, not salary, stipend, because we're not taking her on as a salaried employee. The administrative stipend, whatever percent that we are going to set, needs to be set by the council, and it needs to be set by experienced people, not just hobnobbing. Okay.
Well, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And from what I'm getting from you, Mayor, and Mr. Crafter, that you've already decided that Ms. Jones is gonna do it. You know,
No,
that's
we can't
what
do
I'm
that.
coming
It's
away.
not. It's not.
That's what I'm coming away
city
with this
council-
from.
Yeah. Well, we suggested that because she was already doing the CHIP program. I suggested
Ma'am,
that because she's
you know
already
what?
doing the CHIP program. If we want to do somebody different, then that would be fine. But with what she's going through with the CHIPS program and the list that she has of the people who have not qualified for that program, then we won't have to wait another 5 years before we start this program off while the money sits there. That's
Listen,
I suggested that. Yes.
And listen, I understand that, but here again, that's what we called a favorite son scenario. And you should have learned about that in ethics, that you don't pick and choose somebody to run something knowing that you've got money coming in. That is totally wrong.
How did you pick Ms. Jones for the CHIP program, man?
So what now?
How did you pick Ms. Jones to run the CHIP program?
Wait a minute, I got one of my headset. Hold on a second.
Hi, Mayor Pro Tem, this is Loranda. I lost connection a little bit.
Go ahead, ma'am.
I missed
I'm
some stuff
sorry.
that was said, but I lost connection. Are we going to executive session for this? Or are we gonna pick up on Thursday with executive session for clarification?
I would make a suggestion, since this is work session, and you know, that's fine, because we're getting it out on the table today, and that's what we're supposed to do. But no, there's no way, in my opinion, that we are going to vote on how we're going to do this. I mean, bottom line is, nobody even talked numbers, and on the Zoom meeting that I had the other day with Marvin and everybody else the few that were involved, I had to, it was like pulling eye teeth to find out how much money, where it came from, how it got there, where it was going to be. And then it seemed to me that this was a pre-set up scenario. You know, I
It was
didn't fall
not.
off the watermelon truck
Well,
yesterday, and I
It was
promise
not.
you, we're
It was
going to
not.
do things
let me
the right
say
way.
this. Let me say this.
It was not.
Before you say something is a pre-set up scenario.
Right.
I was not in that meeting. I was in the meeting when we voted on the commission to give the money. And so I just kind of think I might have should have been in that meeting, and then we could do what we're doing now. But that's not a pre-set up scenario. It's one of those things that if we went to work even tomorrow, try to determine how much we're going to allocate for a fee or whatever, and who we're going to let work with this based on experience. If we want to do that by Thursday, we could vote on this by Thursday. It's not a pre-set up scenario. That's why I said that we're not asking the Utilities Commission to tell us who do it. When they give us the money, we put the money in the bank, and then we will administer and do what needs to be done, because we're going to be the ones that will get the credit and have to experience the liability. So I'm thinking if we want to sit here and talk for 6 more months before we do anything, we could do that. We could find out any kind of scenario to go with. But if we want to move forward and help the people out, drive down Vineville Street, or down any street in Vineville, drive down Griffin Line, drive in some of those other areas where you see houses boarded up and everything, and some of them still staying in there. It'll make your heart bleed. So if we want to sit here and talk about that scenario forever, then we'll never help the people that way. So I would think let's if we don't want to vote on it on Thursday, then you make a motion to table it. But I don't think we just need to continue to toss it out right now and talk about a favorite son initiative. Miss Jones is not my favorite son. I asked for Miss Dorothy Crumley to do some things, and she recommended her. And when the bids came in, she bid it for us. So that's the kind of thing that we need to think about. Stop calling people's favorite sons.
Well, I'm using that as a very nice way, Mayor, to be honest with you, because you got a favorite yard boy, you got a favorite contractor, you got a favorite this, you know, people tend to give work to their favorite son. That is a cliche.
When he tells me what his charge is, he doesn't be my favorite anymore. If he tell me what his charge is, so that's what we're talking about. So, but we are determining this charge. So anyway,
this is a business, and it needs to be run more like a business.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and that's all. And I didn't want to bring up. I didn't say plus or but. I like Dr. Jones, you know, from a personal standpoint of view. I think she's a wonderful lady. But to have, let me put it this way, Mayor, been around a little bit longer than most people give me credit for. And I don't stand and see something happening before my eyes that is, we got some things going on right now legally with certain individuals that needs to be taken care of, if you know what I mean, before we go in do anything else. So let's do this. We've talked about this enough. Let's go ahead and finish the agenda for the work session so we can all go home. And bottom line is, nobody even mentioned the amount. Marvin didn't mention the amount of money. You know, I had to pull it, like I said, pull it like eye teeth at this meeting. Where'd the money come from? What this? I hate to be the last one to find out and then have to react at a moment's notice. That is not good business sense. I promise you. And being in business successfully for 50 years, I think that makes me stand out a little bit better than others that can make that same claim. Let's do this. Let's go down to number 8, to the property donation of the city from Mr. Chop Evans that we're going to look at on Thursday night. Okay. He's going to deliver that. And then we have a tax abatement for city council. Now, I do not know what this tax abatement is, so I don't know how to even talk about it during this meeting. Mr. Maddox or
Mr. Chairman, I'll bring
Renzo,
it up,
talk
please.
about the tax abatement for that, if you would.
There was a question asked that in the past, the city would waive delinquent taxes for, on tax purchases by city council. That was a past policy. Just trying to check and see whether that was a policy, whether we want to continue doing that, or whether we're gonna, if a city councilman person buys a tax property during the sale, do they have to pay the back taxes also is the question.
Thank you, Mr. Maddox.
My answer has been yes.
You were broken up. Can you say that one more time?
Yes, when a city councilman person purchases a tax property during a tax sale, does he or she have to pay the back taxes?
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
I
That's
think
the reason properties are sold on the courthouse steps is for one or two reasons: back taxes or a lien by a
Oh,
bank
heavens,
or
yes,
a
we shouldn't have
foreclosure.
special.
Go ahead.
move that forward. Move that forward to be on the agenda for Thursday night.
Okay, that'll be fine. Wait, you know,
Yes.
if you bought a distressed piece of property and it has back taxes, you owe the taxes. Bottom line. That's all there is to it. Go ahead, Miss. I see you, Miss Patrick. You're grinning like a goat eating briars over there. Just
That's not too welcome. Look like
That's
too
a good
welcome.
one.
go ahead. Would you chime in and give us a little bit of levity here?
Yep, you guys have it handled, so I don't have to say much at all.
Mr. Jimmy.
Yeah.
Mr. Jimmy.
Go ahead. Yes, sir. Go ahead,
I just
Chief.
want to make sure, because we're on a recorded line and y'all discussed that is completely illegal, and I want to make sure that Ms. Socrates will make sure that you document that I made that statement since I'm here. I don't want nobody to think that I was complicit in even participating in such a discussion. Thank you.
Wait, for clarification, we did say that's not proper, correct? We said in line with what you're thinking, all right, Chief Spurgeon?
Yes, I need to state that is completely illegal to even, that don't even need to be considered.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. And the last thing on the agenda, ladies and gentlemen, and I know everybody's ready to rock and roll, is the surplus property on Moore Street. So we'll be putting that on Thursday's agenda to vote on that, put sell on it. Okay?
Okay.
Mr. Jimmy,
Yes, sir.
you bypassed the property from CHOP.
No, I didn't.
He mentioned it, but we
I
can't vote on
mentioned
it
it,
until Thursday.
the donation to the city from CHOP, and I don't even know where this parcel is, although it's F05D059. So I
Well,
don't even know where that piece of property is located.
I asked Socrates to put, I had some pictures because Mr. Postel took pictures of it, and I told her they were on my desk, and I asked her to put that in your packet as well as the packet, as well as the parcel number. Did you do that, Ms. Soccer?
Yes, the pictures are in
Yeah,
the packet.
it's in your packet. It's in
Okay,
your packet.
well, I've been here at City Hall since like 3 o'clock, so.
I lost you. I can't hear you.
Okay, I've been here since like 3 o'clock this afternoon, just signing checks and going over stuff and just wanting to be professionally prepared to run this
Video
meeting
has
while you
stopped.
weren't here, Mayor. That's all. And with that, does anybody want to chime in for
Mayor Pro Tem.
anything? And please keep it within a minute.
Okay,
If you
Mr. Mayor
want
Pro
to chime
Tem.
in for something.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. I did what you said and went to the end of the meeting. The only thing I wanted to say, when the mayor said that the project, should go through the tip. I talked to Dr. Jones to see if it was something that she could do and that she would, if something that she would do. And I talked to Raphael to see how, if possible, the city could account for the money. And when both of them said what they were going to say, then the next thing was to get them two together, understand, to work out the detail, understand, as it relates to some favorite, some and this and other. My only thing is to get this project started. And when Raphael called the meeting, actually, the meeting was between he and Dr. Jones. He called me and asked me to be there. And he called you. The fact that you did not know what had gone on at that time is not something that was being kept from you. We were in the natural progression of setting this thing up. And if she does not want to do it, or if there was a problem with what Raphael's job brought to that, then it wouldn't happen. So when they said that they could do it, the next step is to hook them up together and let them take that to the chain of command, which includes all councilmen. There was in no way anything intended to keep any information from you or any other 6 councilmen up there. You know what I'm saying? It's just an attempt to do what I thought was the right thing. And I don't have a favorite son or daughter when it comes down to doing what's right. Whatever happens is going to be right. It's going to be fair, and it's based on the law. And that's the end. Thank you for letting me
That's
talk.
a damn joke. You could have kept that one.
You know,
Hey.
Again, I gotta say, thank you,
I ain't
Mr.
laughing.
Crafter. Again,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
again, thank you, Mr. Crafter. I promise you. I mean,
No,
here again, and I love the fact that this is a work session and that we can let a little bit hang out more in work session than, what you're supposed to do. And I appreciate all the candor with
okay.
everybody, because that's all that matters, right?
I'm on a
Because we
Zoom
want the
meeting with the
best
city
for everybody.
council. I'll tell you
We
about
have
that.
one scenario, the people of this town. That's the way I look at it. So thank you for letting me chair this meeting. Thank you, Mayor, for letting me be in this position. Thank you for being on.
Thank
And,
you, sir.
as much as you do, I mean,
Your, your
just to let you
timing,
know.
your
Just
timing is
let you know.
just right, because it's about time for me to get on my plane. So thank you so much for letting me be a part of it.
Well, no, it's just, I'm just glad you're here. Anybody else have anything to say before I want to call this meeting adjourned? Y'all have a wonderful evening.
You too.
Meeting
Have a safe
adjourned.
flight, Mayor Williams.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Y'all have a good, guys.